Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, let's learn another interesting topic. I hope you watched the previous video. In previous video, we have learned about S3 storage basics. Now, let's learn another new concept in this video. For hosting, I need web servers, right? Yes. So, for these web servers, I need storage, right? Yes. Do this S3 storage is useful for server storage? No. Then for which storage in AWS do we have to use as storage for my servers? Which service do I need to use for storage for my servers? EBS. Which storage do I use for my servers or EC2 instances? EBS. Okay. What is the full form of EBS, sir? The full form of EBS is Elastic Block Store. Block Store. So what is the service that we're gonna learn in this video? EBS. EBS is a service in AWS that we're gonna learn in this video. Okay. What is the full form of this EBS, sir? The full form of this EBS is Elastic Block Store. Elastic Block Storage. What is this? It is a elastic block storage. Okay. In previous video, I have already said that we do not call elastic beanstalk as EBS because I told you there is another service with the name EBS. What is that service? Which we call as EBS in AWS Cloud? Elastic Block Storage. We call this as, in short, as EBS. We call this Elastic Block Storage, in short, as EBS. Okay. To launch an EC2 instance, we have 7 steps. Are there? Will your laptop will work without hard disk? No, right? Yes. Our laptop won't work without hard disk. So, when we are launching an EC2 instance, we definitely need a hard disk, that is storage. Is it right? Yes. Definitely we require a hard disk while launching an EC2 instance. In AWS, what do we call this hard disk, sir? In AWS, what do we call this hard disk? We call that hard disk. We call that hard disk as volumes. Let's say this is my EC2 instance that I'm going to launch. This is my instance that I am going to launch. Okay. Now, what is the hard disk that I'm gonna use for this instance? What is the hard disk? Same like hard disk. What is the alternative that I'm gonna use for this instance? For this instance, I'm gonna use volumes. What we're gonna use? Volumes. Volumes as hard disk for the EC2 instance. What volume? EBS volume. What volume is that? EBS volume. Whatever the elastic block storage volume is there, that we gonna using as hard disk. That we gonna using as hard disk for our instance. Let's say this is my instance and a hard disk is there for it. Here, let's say, what is this hard disk? This hard disk will be EBS volumes. In AWS, we create this hard disk by using EBS volumes. Okay. So this EC2 instance hard disk, we should not call this as hard disk anymore. What do we call, sir? We call it as EBS volumes. What do we call? EBS volumes. So while launching this EC2 instance, do we need, do we have a volume? Do we need to have a volume? Yes, we definitely need to have a volume. So while launching the EC2 instance, how many volumes can come by default? By default, how many volumes do I require to launch this EC2 instance? One is sufficient, right? If we want, we can add multiple also. If we want, I can able to add multiple volumes as well. But one is one is must and should, it require one volume. So what do we call that? What do we call that volume? What do we call that volume, sir? We call that we call that default volume as we call that volume as default volume. What do we call? Default volume. We call that volume, that is first volume, as default volume. Okay, I hope you understood what do we call the first volume while creating our EC2 instance. Okay, in our laptop, we have C drive, D drive, E drive, right? Yes. So the default volume is what? C drive, right? Yes. So since while we creating this instance, what is the default volume we get? EBS volume. Can I call this as C drive? Yes. We can even call this as C drive. We can even call this as C drive. C drive volume. Okay. Let's say this is a C drive volume. Okay. Now, default volume for EC2 instance is called, what do I call this default volume? C drive. Now, what does this C drive contains? In general, in my laptop, what does C drive contains? It contains operating system, right? Yeah, it contains operating system. In short, can I write it as OS? Yeah, the C drive contain operating system. Okay. So can I ask this question in this way also? Yes. What does your default volume contains? What does your default volume contains? Operating system. What does this default volume contains? Operating system. The volume which has, can I say it in this way also? The volume which has operating system, can I say that as default volume? Yes. We can say that volume as default volume when the volume contains operating system. Now, when you launch a Windows EC2 instance, let's say when you launch it, the instance will be Windows instance. AWS will give you some volume size, right? This is the EBS volume, right? Then if you launch, if you launch the operating system will be, if you launch the Windows OS, let's write EBS elastic block storage size here, and let me write operating systems here and write sizes here. Okay, let's say if you launch EC2 Windows, if you launch Windows EC2 instance in AWS, then what is the size, default volume size that we get? What is the default volume size of this Windows EC2 instance will get? Let's say operating system is what? Windows operating system. Then what is the size of the EBS volume we got? What is the size of the EBS volume we got? For Windows, by default, it will provide the default volume size is 30 GB. You must need to remember this. For default volume, what is the default? How much the default volume size for Windows EC2 instance? 30 GB. 30 GB. Okay. How much? 30 GB for Windows EC2 instance by default given as volume size. If my OS is Linux, let's say if my OS is what? Linux. If my OS is Linux, then how much amount of volume does AWS provides me, sir? How much amount of volume does this AWS provides me, sir? 8 or 10 GB. 8 or 10 GB. So for Windows, what is the default EBS volume size? Does this EC2 for the EC2 instance, does this AWS is providing me 30 GB? For Linux EC2 instance, what is the default EBS volume size that AWS is providing me? 8 or 10 GB. Now I have, what is the drive I have? I have only C drive. Now, can I create D drive here? Yes. Can I create D drive also here? Yes. You can able to create D drive also here. Does AWS provides me this D drive by default? No. What does this AWS provides me? Only C drive by default. So if we want, if we need, then we need to go, if we need D drive, then we need to go and create the volumes for D drive, where all my volumes got stored in EBS storage. If we want, then you can even create another drive, that is what? D drive. Here you can able to create another drive, that is D drive. Okay. From where do I create? From where do I create my volumes? Where all the volumes got stored? In EBS storage, where all my volumes got stored in EBS storage. Let's say this is a EBS storage. Let's say this is a elastic block storage. Let's say this is the elastic block storage. Okay. Where all my volumes got stored in this place. EBS is a centralized storage of volumes in AWS. It is a centralized storage of volumes in AWS. What we need to do? I need to create a D drive here. So what I need to do? We just go here. We just go for AWS management console and we just gonna create a volume. We just gonna create a volume. That means it gonna take the volume from here. Let's say it gonna pick this amount of volume from here and it just provides that volume. It just provides that volume whenever we ask to us. Whenever we asked, then this provides me that created volume to me. So we can create it, and then we can, whatever the size, we require, that much amount of size of volume we go and create from this EBS volumes. And then what I need to do, I must need to attach it to my EC2 instance. Is creating of this EBS volume is sufficient? No, we must need to attach this volume to where my EC2 instance. What is attaching? What do we call this attaching in this cloud, sir? We call this attaching in this cloud as mounting. We need to mount that whatever the volume that we have, that we need to mount it to our instance. Can I name it as D drive? Yes, you can able to name it as D drive as well. Let me write here D drive. Okay. Yeah. Let's say this is a D drive. Now we already have a default volume, which we will get from launching my EC2 instance. If you need more or any extra volumes, then what you need to do? You need to create it. You need to create it from the centralized storage, that is EBS storage, and then you just need to attach it. What is the attaching? That is nothing but mount it in your EC2 instance. Then the volume be now attached to my EC2 instance. We can able to use it from my EC2 instance. Now I want to ask you a question. Can I attach the volumes? Yes, I can able to attach. By using mounting, I can able to attach the volumes to my instance. Can I able to detach the volumes? Yes, I can even able to detach the volumes. That is nothing but unmounting my volumes. So what is attaching? Mounting. What is detaching? Unmounting. Let me write here. Attaching, which means mounting. What is detaching? Attach means mount. What is detach? That means unmount. That's it. Unmount. Attach means mount and detach means unmount. That's it. So we learned two terms, that is attaching means mount and detaching means unmount in cloud. Okay. Can I say in general, volumes can be attached and detached, right? Volumes can be attached and detached from the instance. Okay. Sir, we have S3 and we have EBS. Both are used for storage purpose only, right? Yes. Then what is the difference between S3 and EBS, sir? What is the difference between them? The major difference between them is S3 is a object-based storage. S3 is a object-based storage. Let's say this is S3 and mm, this is EBS. Okay. What type of storage, sir, S3 is? It is object-based storage. What type? It's a object-based storage. It's a object-based storage. So What about EBS, sir? It's a file based, it's a block based storage. The name itself is providing us what is the type of storage it is. It's a block based storage. Okay. So what is the difference between them, sir? Now, can I ask you a question? In S3, in S3, do I do I able to install OS? No, I cannot able to install OS. Can I run OS in S3? No, I cannot able to run. So apart from storing, we cannot able to do anything in S3. Can I say like that? Yeah. So we just use this S3 for storage. For storage use only. For storage use only, we can use this S3, right? Yeah. We use that S3 only for storage. Okay. But but we can overcome this issue. Whatever the issue we face with S3, that issue will be overcome by using volumes. What can we do with these volumes? How do you overcome the issue with S3, sir? We can install operating system in volumes, and we can run the operating system in volumes. We can install and run OS in this operating system in this volumes. Can we host our applications in this elastic block store, sir? Yes, we can host our applications as well. Same like your laptop hard disk, you can do anything you want. This is the elastic block store. This is the main difference. How is this processing is possible in this elastic block store, sir? How is this processing is possible in this elastic block store, and why not in S3? Why not this processing is not possible in S3? Because S3 is a object based storage, right? Yes. So if we want to modify 1 MB of data from 1 GB in object based storage, what we do? We just need to modify whatever the 1 MB we want, that only will modify. Okay. Then how do you modify in this block based storage, elastic block storage, sir? We must need to modify whole 1 GB, whole 1 GB of block based storage. So what you're telling? To modify 1 MB of data from 1 GB in this elastic block store, we must need to modify whole 1 GB of block based storage. So this is the reason why we can able to process our data in elastic block store, but it is not possible in S3. So which service, S3 or EBS, can have high amount of operation cost is required? EBS, right? For modifying 1 MB in 1 GB, we need to modify whole data. So that's why EBS cost me very high. So that's why S3 is cheaply available compared to EBS volumes. So that's why EBS is costly. In other words, whatever the object storage we have, that is less cost when compared with block storage. Block based storage is very highly costly. Okay. Since default volume contains, let's move on back to EBS. So since this default EBS volume contains operating system, can I call this Can I call this default volume as root volume? Yes. We can even call this default volume as root volume. What can I able to call, sir? We can even call this as root volume. We can even call this default volume as root volume since it is maintaining the operating system. Do I call this as root volume? Yes. So the default volume can be called as a root volume. So when a volume has operating system in it, can I call that volume as root volume? Yes, I can able to call that volume as root volume. If I want to have a D drive, if I want to have this D drive, if I want to have D drive, can I go and create D drive and attach it to my server? Yes. If I want E drive, then I go and create that E drive from this EBS service. And can I attach it to my instance? Yes. How do you can attach that? By using mounting, you can able to attach. Okay. Okay. Now the question is, what does this D drive contain? What does this D drive contain, sir? This also contains OS? No. This D drive does not contain OS. What does this D drive contain, sir? This D drive contains data. What does it contain? It contains only the data. What are the data additionally we have? The data will be present in this D drive. So, sir, you said the first volume, that is the operating system, wherever the operating system is present, that as default volume or root volume. Then what do we call the other volumes? Then what do we call the other volumes? We call the other volumes as additional. What do we call? Additional volumes. We have D drive or E drive extra. How many volumes are there? We call all those as additional volumes only. So what do we can call the root volume? That is C drive volume. We call that as default volume. So what do we call the other volume other than root volume? That is D drive volume, additional volume. Now let me ask you a question. How many root volumes are possible? How many root volumes are possibly our server or our laptop can have? A laptop can have more than one drives are required because hard disk is must and should, right? That is one that is required, and additional volumes I can able to attach, that means mount how many I require, those many. In the EC2 instance also the same thing. How many things, how many additional volumes we want, those many we can able to attach. So can I attach and detach additional volumes while my laptop is running? Yes. Additional volumes, what are the additional volumes are there? Those can be attached and detached while my laptop is running also. So here also we can able to attach and detach the additional volumes of my EC2 instance while my instance is running, while my instance is running state also. So can I detach this root volume? That means unmount this root volume of my servers while running. Can I detach this root volume from my instance while it is running? Since this root volume contains operating system, we are not recommended to detach this. No, we cannot able to detach while my EC2 instance is running this default volume or root volume, which cannot be detached at the time of EC2 is running. So if we want to detach this root volume, then what we need to do? We just need to remove. That means we just need to stop this EC2 instance and then detach. We just need to stop this EC2 instance. After that only we can able to detach this. We can able to detach this default volume or root volume. Okay. So what is the maximum volume? What is the maximum size of this EBS volume? Does AWS provides me for a single EBS volume? For a single EBS volume, what is the maximum size does this AWS provides me? AWS provides me for one EBS. For one EBS, I can capable to provide up to 16 TB by using one EBS volume. One EBS equals to at max 16 terabytes. I can able to use 16 terabytes of storage. I can able to use. So do I have only limit of 16 TB? Do I have only limit of 16 TB for this whole instance? No, that limit only for single volume. Single volume limit will be single volume. One EBS volume size max limit is what? 16 TB. Only for single volume it is 16 TB. So if I require more volume, then I can able to attach multiple additional EBS volumes, right? Yes. In that way, I can able to provide how much amount of storage do I require for this instance. That much amount of storage I can able to provide. Okay, let's move on with another certification question. Can you attach one volume? Can you attach one volume to multiple instances? No, we cannot able to attach one volume to multiple instances. So if I need to attach a storage to multiple servers, if I need to attach a storage to multiple servers, is there any service in AWS available, sir? Yes. What are they? What is the service? What is that service where I can able to attach it to multiple EC2 instances? There is a service name. The service name is EFS, Elastic File System, and FSX. These are the two file-based storage services which are present in these are two file-based storage services which are present in AWS, where we can able to attach these to multiple servers at a time. Okay. So I gonna tell you about these in future. This EFS, that is Elastic File System, is used for Windows, and this FSX file server storage is used for Linux instances. I gonna explain you in future storage sessions. Now let us focus on this EBS. Okay. Sir, while running this EC2 instance, can I increase the volume? Can I increase the volume? Yes. Since since you asked to increase the volume of server while running only you are trying to increase it, right? So we call that as on-fly increase of volume. Since while running the server we are increasing the volume, so we cannot have downtime as well. We do not have downtime as well because we're not stopping our EC2 instances while instances volume size is increasing. So can I write this? Yes, I can able to write this. What is the point that we just discussed? The point is that while volumes can be increased on fly, volumes can be increased on fly. Volumes can be increased on fly. Okay. Now, let's say I created a volume by mistake of 200 GB. 200 GB I created by mistakenly, but I just require only 50 GB. Is it possible for me to decrease the volume from 200 GB to 50 GB, sir? No. We can able to increase the volume only. We cannot able to decrease the volume. That means volume size cannot be decreased. This is also one of the certification question. Volume size cannot be decreased. Volume size cannot be decreased. These two are important points. Just note them down. I hope you note them down. Okay. Then how can I able to modify this, sir? I have 200 GB, but I require only 50 GB. At this moment of time, the only option is that you can again create how much amount of how much amount of volume you require, that much amount. I require 50 GB, right? So I need to create another volume with 50 GB and then just remove this 200 GB volume. That's it. Just need to delete this, unmount and delete this 200 GB volume. Okay. Sir, what do we call this attaching in cloud? Mounting. What do we call this attaching in cloud? Mounting. What do we call detaching in cloud? Demount. Unmounting. Okay. Whenever we are rebooting our servers, let let's say I want to reboot my instance. So instance need to boot from root volume, right? Yes. Instance need to boot from root volume. Then how these servers or instances will identify these root volumes, these what are the root volumes is there, those, how does this instance will identify, sir? This instance will identify by using this instance will identify the root volumes by using device names. What? Device names. Okay. Sir, what is the root volume device names by default will be? What is the root volume device names by default will be? And in which format the root volume device names will be? The root volumes, for root volumes, the device names in default, the device names will be like, for root volumes, the default device names will be like in this format, that is slash dev slash sda1 slash dev slash sda1. In this way, the device names will be for Windows instances or Linux instances. For Windows or Linux instances, the root volume will be like this slash dev slash sda1. For Ubuntu instances particularly, the root volume will be in the format of slash dev slash xvda. Whenever the root volume ends with a1 or a, whenever the volume ends with a1 or volume name ends with a1 or a, then we can say that volume as root volume. What do we say that volume? Root volume. Okay. Then how the additional volumes device names will be, sir? How the additional volumes device default device name will be? How the additional volumes device names will be? Additional volumes device names will be like slash forward slash dev slash sda, a not a, it will be b or slash dev slash SDAC SDC, or it may be whatever the thing may be, but not A. A represents what? SDB1 or SDC, SDB or SDC or SDE or whatever the thing may be, but not A slash dev slash SDZ. So from B till Z only, right? Alphabets. So up to there they will be, but not A. Here also for Ubuntu servers, they also will be like slash dev slash XVDB or slash dev slash XVDC or and so on, whatever the thing may be, slash dev slash XVDZ. So from B to Z, whatever the thing may be present, that will be the device name for the Ubuntu servers. For Linux and Windows, this will be the additional volume will be like this only. For Windows or Linux machines, the additional volumes will be additional volumes device names will be like this only. Particularly for Ubuntu Ubuntu servers, the names will be like this. Okay, these are the device names. By using the device names, so by using the device names, our whatever the instance will be there, right? Whenever we are rebooting, based on the root volume will be identified by using the root volumes device names. So based on these two, it will identify and then just rebooting will happens. In this way, the rebooting will happens. So to detach the root volume, do I need to stop my instance? Yes. After stopping only, it is recommended to detach my or unmount. What is detaching? Unmount my a volume, root volume. Okay. I can able to detach additional volumes while running also. Without detaching, that is unmounting my volume, can I delete my volume? This is another certification question. Without unmounting my volume, without detaching my volume from the EC2 instance, can I delete this volume? No, you cannot delete it. If you want to delete a volume, then you must need to detach this volume at first. After that only you can able to delete this volume. Okay. I hope you understood this video and you got a knowledge on EBS, elastic block storage, and you have a bit knowledge on the concepts of this EBS and the difference between S3 and EBS, and what is the default EBS volume size will be provided when we launch EC2 instance will be Windows or Linux, and how to attach the volumes or how to detach the volumes, and what is the maximum size of this EBS volume. One EBS volume maximum size limit, that is 16 TB, and how this instance will identify a volume as root volume by using device names. What are the device names? Root volumes have root volumes will end with root volumes will end with A device name, and it end with A. And what is the device names that additional volumes will end with? And you have also learned What do we call the operating system? What do we call the volume which has the operating system? And what is the volume do we call where that volume do not have operating system? And where this volume is picked from which central storage? I hope you have all this idea about this EBS. In future videos, we're gonna learn in more detail and in very depth with practical lab sessions as well. I hope you understood this video and you learned basics from this video about EBS. So this is very important storage. If you have any doubts, then once again please watch it so that you can able to understood this very clearly. So thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. See you back in the next video with another concepts. Until then, bye bye. Thanks for watching again. See you back in the next video. Bye bye.